These images made headlines worldwide. In July, this burning cargo ship was carrying nearly 500 electric and more than 3,000 other vehicles off the Dutch coast. Many feared it would create environmental havoc if it sank, especially because of the electric vehicles on board. Was the fear justified? EV battery fires are difficult to control. Misleading. Since e-cars have been on the market, they have been making headlines about the dangers of batteries exploding and inextinguishable fires. According to experts like Dirk, the number of fires in e-cars is much lower compared to conventional combustion engine cars. But if they catch fire, they are hotter, and it takes more water to put the fire out. And many also fear the fires might reignite hours after being extinguished.
If only a few of the cells really went into fire, then the other ones might have a pre-damage, but have not been burned. And so the energy is still in. And maybe if you start moving the car, or if some water spills on some critical electrical parts or whatever, you may have reactions somewhat later.
According to a US insurance service provider, there have been only 25 fires per 100,000 electric vehicle sales per year, way less than in combustion cars. Another claim surrounding the fires of e-car batteries is that the high-voltage lithium-ion batteries pose the risk of electric shock to emergency responders from exposure to the high-voltage components of a damaged lithium-ion battery.
If you go, for example, to US Fire Administration, there is special instruction how to handle fires in electric cars. And one of the warnings is exactly that. So high temperatures, possibilities of electric shock because the battery keeps running. Also another thing, because of the high temperature, if you're trying to apply water on electric car, in some cases, it might end up in flaring up.
But the misinformation surrounding e-cars is not only about the dangers they may cause. Many also claim they are not worth the investment, as you can only drive short routes with them.
They want mandatory electric cars. The cars go for like two hours. What are you going to do? Everyone's going to be sitting on the highway. We're all going to be looking for a little plug-in.
This claim by former US President Donald Trump left many surprised because it was an abrupt U-turn from his previous support of e-cars. But is it true? Electric cars can't drive for more than 2 hours. Misleading. Typically, a battery's efficiency is measured in terms of distance covered, not time elapsed. According to a cheat sheet by the Electric Vehicle Database, electric vehicles can typically travel an average of approximately 350 kilometers on a single charge, depending on their make and capacity. If we adopt this benchmark, a simple Google search reveals that covering such a distance would require nearly 4.5 hours in the US. On German autobahns, where stretches without speed limits abound, one could even travel 350 kilometers in slightly over 3.5 hours. However, according to a study by the American Automobile Association, driving conditions, including hot and cold weather, also affect the range of an EV. For instance, researchers found that the average range could decrease by 40% due to cold temperatures and heat.
Actually, most of the driving of electric cars is in city, where electric cars are performing much better. So that 2 hours is definitely exaggeration. And you can even add a little bit more color to that the best cars currently which are on the market, giving you 300 miles, 360 miles, 400 miles on EPA driving range.
But people are not only worried about the efficacy of e-cars, but also about their sustainability. EV batteries have a short lifespan. False. It is difficult to determine the exact lifespan of batteries in electric vehicles due to their limited presence over time. Nearly 1/3 of all electric vehicles hit the roads just last year. However, a recent study suggests that the batteries could outlast the vehicles themselves. It indicates that batteries replacement are relatively rare, with just over 200 batteries out of 15,000 EV owners needing replacement. According to most EV manufacturers, batteries come with a warranty of 8 years, or 160,000 kilometers. Japanese car maker Nissan recently claimed that almost all EV batteries they manufacture are still in use. Nissan started its EV production more than 12 years ago. Similarly, Tesla states that its vehicles in the US typically drive an average of 320,000 kilometers and nearly 250,000 kilometers in Europe before being retired.
Batteries are getting better and better, and some of them are claiming much longer ranges. But indeed, battery is a very expensive piece of the equipment. And if you are planning to have your car much longer, I don't know, 15, 20 years, well, then indeed you would need to replace the battery.
Another common narrative surrounding claims about e-cars is that it is unethical to buy them, as child labor is behind the production of their batteries. Children are involved in the production of electric vehicles. True. A series of social media posts as well as human rights activists claim that children are involved in the production of electric vehicles. These claims mention the cobalt mining operations in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Cobalt is one of the essential elements needed in producing lithium batteries. These batteries are used in electric vehicles, but not just there. Cobalt is also needed for producing batteries for smartphones and computers. Media research shows children have been involved in cobalt mining in the DRC's mines. This fact has been covered by mainstream media on numerous occasions, and child rights activists have been raising awareness for it as well.
About 20% of the cobalt is extracted through artisanal means, meaning, just people with basic tools digging to get some rocks and some minerals. So we know that in these 20% of cobalt that's extracted in artisanal mines, there is a huge problem of children working in these mines.
Car companies are researching alternatives for cobalt to produce batteries, and some have announced they'll only use ethically mined cobalt, for example. German car manufacturer BMW has said it will buy the component directly from Australia and Morocco. However, a report by the IPCC notes concerns about the widespread adoption of battery technologies, including the growing concerns about resource availability, labor rights, non-climate environmental impacts, and costs of critical minerals needed for lithium-ion batteries. Despite their surge in popularity, electric cars constitute less than 15% of the global market share. Nevertheless, experts remain convinced that these vehicles represent the future of transportation. Have you encountered any instances of misinformation regarding electric cars? Feel free to share your experiences in the comment section below or via mail to factchecking@dw.com.